You lose by 35 points, you get on the microphone, and you blame a whistle? That's exactly what Aliyah Wilson and Becky Hammon did after the Indiana Fever dismantled the Las Vegas Aces. Not Caitlin Clark's record-breaking night. Not 6 players in double figures. Not the Aces shooting 39% from the field, while the Fever shot 56%. No, they blamed a whistle. A special whistle, they called it. We are going through every single excuse the Las Vegas Aces gave, one by one, and lining it up against what actually happened on the court. And spoiler alert, it's not close in a single category. We'll break down why they're just throwing tantrums after Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, Aliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and the rest of the Indiana Fever obliterated them. What do you think of the Aces' excuses? Show some love to the Fever in the comments below. And before we dive in, make sure you're subscribed to Hope Uncovered. Hit that bell so you never miss our breakdowns. Let's get into it. Caitlin Clark missed a stretch of the West Coast road trip with a back injury. Anyone who watched her sit knew how badly she wanted back on the floor. Heading into July 12th against Vegas, she wasn't talking about revenge or milestones, she just wanted to play basketball again. That's it. But the team still had her on a minutes restriction, capping her around 24 minutes. Which means for over half the game, Indiana's best player was standing on the sideline in a warm-up jacket. So, how does a team lead wire-to-wire with its franchise player playing less than half the game? Let's hear from Clark herself. I feel good. Had a hard workout day after the Phoenix game. Felt great there. And then obviously we had practice yesterday. So feel ready to go and excited to play 25 minutes and excited for my minutes to be a little bit longer. So this should be fun. The answer starts at the opening tip. Indiana came out and never trailed, not for a second, not once during all 40 minutes. This wasn't a team that fell behind early and clawed back. The Fever built a lead in the first quarter, and just kept stacking on top of it quarter after quarter, while Vegas never found an answer. Aliyah Boston set the tone early, and she set it physically. She battled Aliyah Wilson possession after possession, and by the end of the night she'd put up a double-double, while making Wilson work for every single point. That's not a small thing against a former MVP. Boston made sure Vegas's best player felt her all night long on both ends of the floor. Then Caitlin Clark hits a long-range 3 right in Wilson's face. Clark managing that back injury to go wire-to-wire victory last night, never trailed. Kelsey Mitchell built her scoring the quiet way. She was getting good looks, knocking them down, staying patient through the first half. Then in the second half, it turned into an explosion. And by the end of the night, she'd put up a team high that nobody on Vegas could match. Mitchell has 6 straight games with 20 or more points, over 27 points per game, because she could score at all 3 levels. Now let's talk about the rebounding because 35-28 doesn't sound like a blowout number, but it matters more than people think. Every extra rebound is a possession Vegas doesn't get. And in a game like this, those extra possessions piled up into second chance points and control of the pace. Indiana wasn't just outscoring Vegas, they were outworking them on the glass all night. The shooting split tells the real story. Indiana shot 56% from 2-point range while Vegas shot only 39%. From 3, it's even more lopsided. Indiana hit 48% of their threes while Vegas managed just 24%. That's not a hot streak. That's one team getting good shots all night, and the other team settling for bad ones. When your shot selection is that far apart, the score is going to reflect it no matter what else happens. Even at the free throw line, Indiana showed discipline, going 18 of 19 on the night. That's not luck. That's just taking care of business when you get to the stripe. And it's one more example of a team doing the small things right for 40 minutes straight. Here's the number that really tells the story. 6 different Fever players scored in double digits. Not just Clark, not just Mitchell. This wasn't a one-woman show. Boston, Mitchell, Clark, Cunningham, Billings, Harris, all in double figures, all contributing, all pulling the same direction on the same night. None of that stopped Vegas from walking into the post-game press conference looking for someone else to blame. Aliyah Wilson stood at the podium after a 34-point loss and said the Fever got a special whistle. Not, we played bad. Not, they beat us. A special whistle. So what does that actually mean? Is she saying the referees just decided to hand Indiana calls all night for no reason? Because that's a wild thing to say after your team got outworked in every single category on the stat sheet. Becky Hammon backed her up too, complaining that Indiana played too physical and that officials missed illegal screens all game. Let's listen to what Hammond said about Kelsey Mitchell. "Yeah, I mean her motor combined with her skill set is just hard. She's super fast. She never quits moving. They set a ton of screens for her. I don't know if they're all legal, but she gets a lot of screens. So now it's not just a whistle problem. It's a screens problem. It's a physicality problem. It's basically every problem except the one where your team shot 39% from the field." Hammond wanted people to believe her team lost because Indiana was too aggressive and got away with it. A strange complaint to make right after your own player says the referees were the issue. Hammond also said, "To sit there and bang against Boston for 40 minutes is really hard on somebody's body. Especially when they allowed the physicality that they do. And that team was more physical than us the whole night on both ends." Then came the scheduling excuse. 3 games in 4 days, tired legs, no energy left in the tank. And look, that's a real thing in this league. Back-to-backs are brutal. But you don't lose by 34 points because your legs are tired in the fourth quarter. Tired teams lose by 8. They lose by 12. They blow a lead late. They don't get run off the floor from the opening tip because of fatigue. A 34-point margin doesn't get decided by a couple of missed calls or one tired stretch. That kind of margin gets built over 40 minutes of one team dominating every phase of the game. Aliyah Wilson on fatigue. "I think just for overall, we just need to rest our bodies. I was literally telling Jackie and Chelsea that towards the end of the game, it was a lot of rim-out shots, a lot of short shots that we would normally make. I think we just need to rest, and it is what it is." Look at the run that actually broke this game open, 43-9 from late in the third quarter into the early fourth. What whistle accounts for a 34-point swing in one stretch? No official is calling that many fouls. That's one team completely collapsing while the other team can't miss. Now let's talk about actual physical plays because the Aces want to talk about physicality like they were the ones getting hit. Chelsea Gray caught Clark with her knee, sent her straight to the floor, and the foul got called on Clark. Not Gray. Clark was lying on the hardwood, and she's the one who picked up the whistle everybody's mad about. Then there's Dana Evans closing out on Kelsey Mitchell and stepping directly on her foot. The kind of closeout that can roll an ankle or worse. That's not incidental contact. That's a play that should draw a flag 9 times out of 10. And it barely got a mention afterward. Put those 2 plays next to the imaginary special whistle. Clark gets hit and gets called for the foul. Mitchell gets stepped on and nothing happens. That's not a team getting help from the refs. That's a team absorbing contact all night and still winning by 34. Hammond complaining about fatigue in the same breath as blaming officiating doesn't hold up. If your legs are gone, that's on the schedule, not the refs. You can't blame tired legs and phantom whistles in the same press conference and expect both to make sense. When 6 different players score in double digits, you don't need a whistle to explain the win. You need a stat sheet. Let's go name by name. Aliyah Boston. Her night went deeper than the double-double on paper. Possession after possession, she battled Wilson on the block, denying her easy post position, contesting without fouling and forcing her into tough looks all night. On offense, Boston punished Vegas right back, scoring in the paint and cleaning the glass. By the end, she'd neutralized the best player Vegas had on both ends. Kelsey Mitchell. Her 27 points came with something bigger. A franchise record. She passed Tamika Catchings for 38 straight games scoring in double digits. Anybody can get hot for one game. Mitchell's been doing this for 38 games in a row, which means teams know it's coming and still can't stop it. Caitlin Clark. Her stat line doesn't look loud until you remember she played 24 minutes total. 12 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists in barely half a game while working her way back from a back injury on a minutes restriction. And connected to that is a number that puts her in a category by herself. 600 career assists reached faster than anybody in WNBA history in only 72 games. Some players take years to get to that number. Clark did it before finishing her 3rd season. Sophie Cunningham comes off the bench and turns the whole building upside down. 6 threes on 7 attempts, 20 points, and every single one seemed to go in from further and further away. This wasn't lucky bounces. This was a stretch where the rim looked like the ocean. You could feel the shift the moment her 3rd three went down. The bench came unglued. The crowd got louder. And Vegas's body language changed completely, shoulders dropping, players glancing at the bench like somebody needed to call a timeout. That's the kind of run that takes a game that's already decided and turns it into an embarrassment. Monique Billings and Ty Harris both scored 10 points. Quiet contributions that don't make highlight reels, but absolutely show up in a 34-point margin. Billings did her damage inside,